Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The sun was setting over Springville, a small American town where tranquility was merely a facade. The cobblestone streets were silent, punctuated only by the distant sounds of cars and streetlights flickering on one by one. In this deceptive calm, Clara Thompson, a black woman in her 30s, walked alone in a secluded park. Her gait was quick, almost nervous, but each movement revealed a natural elegance and quiet confidence. Clara had just finished an important meeting downtown. She had spent the day advocating for civil rights for a local organization and felt exhausted but satisfied. Little did she know that the evening was about to turn into a nightmare. In a dark corner of the park, Officer Jackson and Officer Miller, two white police officers, were patrolling. Jackson was known for his arrogance and impatience. Miller, younger, tended to follow his colleague for fear of drawing attention to himself. Neither man believed they were acting in bad faith, but their worldview was tainted by deeply ingrained prejudices and stereotypes. Their attention was drawn to Clara the moment they saw her. Her appearance, her skin, and her solitude instantly aroused unwarranted suspicion. Jackson whispered to Miller. "You see that girl? Something's fishy. We should take care of her." Before Clara could even understand what was happening, the two police officers approached, their service weapons visible but not drawn. She instinctively stepped back, but the men surrounded her, blocking all escape routes. "Madam, stay where you are," ordered Jackson. Clara tried to reason with the men, her voice trembling but determined. "I'm not hurting anyone. Why are you arresting me?" But her words fell on deaf ears. Jackson and Miller, blinded by their prejudices, failed to see Clara's innocence, dignity, and social standing. In an impulsive and humiliating gesture, they handcuffed her and tied her to a tree in the center of the park, under the harsh yellow glow of streetlights that heightened the drama of the scene. As Clara fought against injustice, passers-by slipped by at a distance, unable to react. The police officers, for their part, almost congratulated themselves, convinced they were acting in the safety of the city. But they were unaware of a crucial truth: Clara Thompson was no ordinary woman, and their actions would cost them dearly. The handcuffs rattled around Clara's wrists, her breathing quickened, but her gaze remained steady and dignified. The tree to which she was bound stood as a silent witness to the unfolding injustice. The wind rustled the leaves, but no natural sound could drown out the tension hanging in the air. "Well, you're lucky this park is empty," Jackson sneered. "If someone had seen you, it could have been worse." Clara replied in a calm but icy voice. "You've got the wrong person. I haven't done anything wrong. You're going to regret this." Miller, more hesitant, lowered his eyes and murmured. "Maybe we should just let her go." Jackson glared at him. "Stop talking nonsense. Nobody questions my decisions." As they were talking, passers-by began to notice the scene. An old woman walking her dog called out from the sidewalk. "Why are you doing this?" "She didn't do anything." Jackson shrugged and replied arrogantly. "It's for everyone's safety. Stay out of this." Clara felt anger rising, but she channeled it. She knew the power of silence and dignity in the face of injustice. Her handcuffed hands gripped the rough bark of the tree as she watched the police officers, trying to anticipate their next mistake. Then, a rustling sound from behind the bushes caught their attention. A passerby tried to film the scene with his phone. Jackson stepped forward abruptly. "Hey! You're going to stop that right now, or you'll end up like her." Clara seized this opportunity to speak directly to Miller. "Deep down, you know it's not right, but you're afraid to say it." Miller looked away, trapped between his duty, his fear, and the truth. At that precise moment, a deep voice crackled over the patrol car's radio. "Attention! The woman you arrested is Clara Thompson, daughter of Judge Marcus Thompson. Immediate release." Jackson's eyes widened. For the first time, arrogance gave way to panic. Clara, tied to the tree, gave a subtle, almost ironic smile. The pieces of the puzzle had just fallen in the wrong direction. The radio's click still echoed in the officers' minds. Jackson and Miller stared at each other, frozen. The news hit like a thunderbolt. Clara Thompson wasn't just some woman lost in the park, she was the daughter of Marcus Thompson, a respected county judge. Clara, still tied to the tree, crossed her arms and stared at the two men. Her smile was calm, but her eyes burned with icy determination. "So now you finally know who you're dealing with," she said softly, each word weighed and precise. Jackson tried to stammer out an apology, his voice trembling. We didn't know. We thought." "You weren't thinking anything at all," Clara interrupted. "You acted on your prejudices. Nothing more." Miller lowered his eyes in shame, but Jackson remained defiant, refusing to show any weakness. Yet, the tension rose a notch when a black car sped into the park. The engine roared, and out of the door stepped Marcus Thompson, the judge himself, flanked by two officers. "What does that mean?" Marcus asked in an icy voice. His presence immediately imposed silence. Jackson and Miller scoffed at their words, trying to justify themselves, but everything seemed insignificant compared to Marcus's authority and influence. The situation quickly became public. Witnesses had begun filming and live-streaming the scene on their phones. Clara, untied from the tree by her father and his agents, now stood before the two police officers. Every movement of Marcus commanded respect and silence. "You thought you could humiliate an innocent woman without consequences," said Marcus, staring straight into Jackson's eyes. "You will answer for this act. Not only to your superiors, but to the entire community." Jackson felt the air suffocating. Miller, ashamed, lowered his head and murmured. We only did." "Enough." Marcus interrupted. "Your arrogance and racism are unacceptable. You will be suspended immediately and subject to an official investigation." Clara placed a hand on her father's shoulder, and a respectful silence fell around them. The passers-by, witnesses to the injustice and now to the power of truth, felt both relieved and astonished. For the first time, Jackson and Miller realized the gravity of their mistake. They had judged a person based on their skin color and their loneliness, completely ignoring their identity and dignity. The lesson was harsh, but inevitable. Hatred and prejudice always backfire on those who perpetrate them. The scene in the park quickly turned into a spectacle no one had anticipated. Passers-by, alerted by the screams and the sound of sirens, began to gather at a distance, pulling out their phones to film. The air was thick with tension and disbelief. Jackson and Miller, still frozen in place, were now fully aware of the magnitude of their mistake. Judge Marcus Thompson approached them, accompanied by two detectives and his daughter Clara, free but resolute at his side. His gaze, calm yet icy, weighed upon them like an immediate judgment. "You have humiliated my daughter," Marcus began, each word hitting like a hammer. We thought," Jackson tried, but his voice trembled, unable to finish the sentence. "What exactly did you think?" Marcus interrupted. "That you could judge and punish a woman based on the color of her skin?" Clara observed the scene with implacable dignity. Her eyes shone with cold anger, but she said nothing, letting the force of her presence speak for her. Miller, ashamed, almost murmured to himself. I never wanted to." "It's not a question of wanting or not wanting," Marcus replied. "You acted on your prejudices. And now the whole town knows it." Witnesses' cameras had begun broadcasting the scene live on social media. The information spread like wildfire, and the reactions were unanimous: outrage, anger, and support for Clara. Public pressure mounted instantly. Jackson attempted one last clumsy excuse. "But, we were just doing our job." Marcus stared at him with an intensity that made Jackson tremble. "It is not your job to judge, discriminate, or humiliate. Your job is to protect and serve. You have failed on all fronts." The two police officers, shaken and humiliated, were escorted to their patrol cars by the inspectors. The crowd applauded Clara and her father, recognizing the courage and justice that had triumphed over hatred and prejudice. Clara, freed but still marked by the experience, placed a hand on her father's shoulder. "Thank you, Dad," she murmured. Marcus nodded, his gaze turned towards the city. "Let this lesson serve everyone. Justice and respect are not privileges, they are rights." That night, Springville understood a simple but powerful truth: acts of racism, however insignificant they may seem to those who commit them, always have serious and public consequences. The following morning, Jackson and Miller were officially suspended. The case had made headlines throughout the city and even in the regional media, turning Clara Thompson into a symbol of courage in the face of injustice. The two officers stood in the station office, pale-faced and with a lump in their throats. The police chief, an experienced man accustomed to delicate situations, looked at them sternly. "Your actions are not only unacceptable, they are criminal. You have abused your power and discriminated against an innocent citizen. You will remain suspended during the investigation, and I guarantee you that your careers are at stake." Jackson tried to protest, but his words remained stuck in his throat. Miller, ashamed, avoided his superior's gaze and murmured, "I should never have gone along." Meanwhile, Clara continued her life with her characteristic dignity and strength. She spoke out publicly against systemic racism and emphasized the importance of civic vigilance. The city, previously silent on these issues, began to question its own prejudices and reflect on true justice. A few weeks later, Jackson and Miller were summoned before a disciplinary committee. The video evidence and witness testimonies made any defense impossible. The sanctions were swift and severe: a lengthy suspension, a disciplinary transfer, and harsh administrative penalties. Their reputations were tarnished forever. Clara, for her part, remained a living symbol of resilience and dignity. She knew that her voice had been heard, that her courage had inspired, and that truth always triumphs over hatred. The moral of this story remained etched in the memory of all who witnessed it: judging someone on their skin color or appearance can have irreversible consequences, and justice always ends up revealing the truth. Springville Park, once the site of a shocking act of injustice, became for many a symbol of vigilance, respect, and courage. Clara Thompson, briefly suspended from a tree by police officers blinded by racism, had transformed the humiliation into a universal life lesson.